is going on today? I wanted to try and start a little series, I guess you could call it, maybe a little talk, conversation piece. For those of you out there that deal with addiction or depression, some sort of anxiety, something from your past or your future or your present that it's troubling. You have some sort of trauma, PTSD, what have you, for whatever reason it may be. Mine was fire and EMS. I guess I'll start my story. I started when I was around 14 or 15. It was, I don't know why, I just figured out I can help people. It'll be fun. It'll be nice to help them save people and take people out of buildings and whatever. And it actually wasn't anything close to that. It was all volunteer. I did go to EMT class some years ago. I was about 16 or so, and things have changed. So if I say something that you guys don't agree with, forgive me. I haven't gone ahead in forever. I haven't kept up with anything. I got married, had 3 kids. I just haven't done it in a long time. I don't necessarily want to not do it. It was hard. I had a rough time dealing with some certain things, and it's, a long story, and I'll do a few parts. See if anybody likes it. Apologize for the camera shaking around. This room's terrible, but we'll see what happens. So, 14 or 15, I joined the fire service, and at that time in Pennsylvania, anyways, excuse me, you could, it's almost like having a job. You have to get your work and papers and whatnot, but you can go and observe. You can't necessarily do anything, but you go watch, you learn. And I did learn a lot. I won't name anybody's names and all this or anything like that, or where everything was or whatever, because I respect for a lot of families and even the people that are still in the fire service, things like that. It's not all I place to name names, but I went, got my papers. I did my first, I guess you want to call it, little bit of experience on the job training. So I believe I was 15, maybe 16, I can't recall, but I had to do some certain things before I did actually go on my first call. But I'll never forget my first call. I wish I could say the guy's name because I miss him dearly. He's a really nice guy. But he kind of helped me, took matters away a little bit as well. Showed me what was what. Went through and actually took time to teach me things. His name was Mike. I'm not going to get any last name, but his name was Mike. He's a really nice guy. My very first call, I'll never forget it. We were dispatched to an MVA with entrapment fairly early in the evening. I mean, maybe 8 o'clock at night, 7:30. It wasn't too long off of me. I didn't know any better. I'm a young guy. So we get on scene fairly late because, like I said, I was younger and there was, I had to wait for him to drive, whatever. I remember distinctly kind of did open my eyes, and don't get me wrong, I was no angel, but it opened my eyes to, well, why is this guy drinking and driving? And it's not like I didn't, like, dabble a little bit at 15. I wasn't, partying crazy all the time at 15 years old. Trust me, I was raised a little better, I'd like to think, but some decisions in life that actually made. I tried to be a good person, basically, whatever. But it kind of leads along the addiction lines, because I did go through an alcohol. It actually wasn't an addiction, so to speak, but I thought it was for a better part of 10 years. But I'm getting off topic. Get back to this crash, my very first crash. It was like an eye-opener, to not drink, not drink and drive, so to speak. Well, realistically, I didn't want to ever drink and drive. You're always taught it's bad, but for me, I got to see the reality the first hand, and the consequences of drinking and driving. So that is something that everybody, I think, should have to bear witness to. Not necessarily graphic or whatever, but the reality or the scene of what can happen, at least car-wise, because your imagination can come up with a lot of stuff to figure out, well, okay, what happened there. You can think and think and think, and you can pretty much come to the conclusion of how injured the patient had become, or whether they had survived. Why not? Because of the condition of the vehicle, which you learn to assess fairly quickly the further you move on through your career in the fire service, EMS fire, which I didn't directly run EMS as far as being paid to do it. I did not have a job with the ambulance association. However, I did a lot of co-mingling with them. A lot of good fun times as well, and a lot of great guys at the time at the EMS. A lot of good guys ran EMS. Good women, girls, females. I'm not saying that there is now. I'm politically correct the world is, but yeah, we had a good time. I mean, it was more like a brotherhood to a point, because everybody argues with everybody, but you get to know these people and they got your back, and certain things happen and so on and so forth. But that was my very first reality / childhood. I wouldn't say I was a child, but I was young enough to do stupid things after that, but smart enough to realize, hey, this is not good. So I proceed throughout my career, and I get into this quote unquote, and I'm sure everybody does. I don't know if you haven't, then you're special. But it's like in EMS. Everybody, they have a thing called a paragon, which is an EMT that went to medic school. Oh, they're a medic, they know everything. And I'm not saying anything bad about any of those people. Like I said, we've all gone through it. In the fire service, we go through it, your head's about the size of your room, and you just think that you can take on anything. At least I did. A lot of that's probably youth. But a lot of it is you're doing something different that nobody else has done. And you have this tremendous feeling of nothing can hurt you, because you're helping. You're there to help. So nothing can hurt you. A lot can, in fact, will hurt you. I don't want to say that you shouldn't volunteer for your community, or even it's the basics that you go through before you're allowed to actually fight fire. And I agree with it, because there's a lot of people out there that think it's just grabbing a hose and going in a building, and there's a lot more to it. There's fire science that every, career guys, especially instructors, they all, now don't quote me, laws changed. I think they have to have this, at least to be paid to do it. But if there's a thing called a fire science degree, it's actually really cool. Fire is a weird, mysterious thing. It's almost like electricity. Everybody knows it's there. We just don't know how it works or what it, why it's there. It's just there. But it teaches you how to maintain yourself in a fire, how to approach a fire, how to assess the situation. Make sure basically you're not going to go in there and get yourself killed or somebody else killed. That way you can be safe, because safety is number one priority. I'm sure you guys have all seen the movies, 949 or Fahrenheit 451 or whatever that movie is called. You go, we go. Backdraft is a big one. That's the most famous one out there that I can recall. And Backdraft is a good movie, and I can't speak for the time I wasn't there. But Backdraft is an awesome movie, and it does a lot of science behind what happens, what a backdraft is. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's a great movie. But it doesn't show you the other side of firefighting, the EMS side of it. You go to a cardiac arrest, or you go to an overdose, or a vehicle accident, or they teach you briefly in the essentials part, but basically it's learning to be aware of your surroundings in the first one or two parts. And then you do go through and you learn different knots and different things that can save your life and how to escape. You do learn basic ventilation, ventilators and roofs, and doors, and what else can I think of? It's just basic stuff. I can talk all day on basic firefighting. It's just do your thing, be careful, don't get anybody hurt or killed. And at the time, I think it was like 40 hours for me. And now it's like 140 or something, which is good. That's great. I'm glad that these younger guys that are coming up, girls, guys, get the proper training. It's not something you just want to run into and not know what you're doing. But this is all going to tie together. This is just the first one. It's all going to tie together with, like I said, PTSD. If you want to call, I'll throw, let's see if I figure it out. I'm not a big YouTube poster. I watch a lot of YouTube, but I'll put my email and stuff in there if you guys have had similar, situations. I'll try. I'll answer you back. Whatever you need, because I'm always there for help as far as you're always thinking about it. You don't want to think about the bad times, but it happens. And I know myself recently. Don't know why. It smacked me pretty hard. So I went, and everybody was kind of like not telling me, hey, talk to somebody, because I could never talk. And it's not that I didn't want to talk. Well, I don't want to talk, and I just didn't want to, I don't know, put myself out there for somebody to worry about, especially my wife and my kids. My daughter is 11, and she knows a little bit about it. But my wife, she knows, well, I believe the whole of my story. She didn't know those 2 or 3 things that I never even talked about with her until this past year. That's in 2021, I guess. Would have been August or September, I believe. I don't know. Because her, I don't remember it. I had serotonin syndrome. I was hallucinating. It was very bad. Not speaking bad on any anti-anxiety medicine, but Lexapro did not do it for me. But that's here or there. And we'll get to that's what kind of started me to decide to do this. So it all tied together. PTSD, you know, any anxiety, depression. I really didn't deal with depression too much as far as feeling bad depression. Feeling bad is the emotion, not me feeling bad. Feeling sorry, I guess is the word. I didn't deal with that a lot. I was more suppressive. I just let it go for years and years and years and years. And this one really, really terrible accident I had, it was in 2008. And that's how many years ago? That was 2023. But all these years later, you know, you see those guys, or you talk to guys in the Army, or whatever branch, Army, Marines, Air Force, military, they come back from combat 10, 15 years later, they're still having, you know, dreams, or they're acting different at certain times of the day, or, you know, I wasn't in the military, I was not in a combat situation, but thank you for that. You guys went out, but I'm a big military supporter. My cousin, he was in Iraq back in 2007, 7 or 8. But I actually had a few family members. He unfortunately lost a leg and an arm over there, and he surprisingly was in good spirits with it that we saw. I didn't talk to him about it because I knew what I dealt with after that, where I didn't want to talk to anybody. So everybody in my family decided, more specifically my wife, yes, maybe you ought to talk to somebody. So I tried the whole psychologist thing for a little bit. It's been probably about a month. Appointments every week. And I don't feel like it's going the direction that I want it to go. I mean, it's helping, don't get me wrong, but I think me just talking, whether anybody watches these or not, that's here or there with me. You know, I ain't here to start off making $2 bucks or try to create this giant YouTube channel. I'm simply here for me, really, to talk about it to nobody but to somebody, if that makes sense. So I'm talking to you with nobody around, so I can actually express how I feel, or what I'm thinking, or what today was like, or what last night was like. Say what's up. So we're gonna do, I don't know, how many videos I can until I decide, you know, if people want to keep talking, reaching out, whatever, you can, absolutely, or until I feel better, you know, with what's going on, or what, I don't know. We'll play by ear. So, I know I'm jumping around a lot, just trying to give you a basic background of why I'm doing it. And the addiction side of it, you can also get a hold of me for, you know, for some friendly advice, I guess, because I've had a lot of friends that went through it. I personally went through 10 years of alcohol consumption, and I want to say the doctor, the psychiatrist that I had seen, and the follow up with a behavioral health specialist, because I had a lot going on. They just tried every angle at why this Lexapro did what it did, and why I had experienced the things that I did because of this Lexapro. In the end, it's a silver lining. It's good. I'm glad it happened. At the time, it was embarrassing because I didn't know how to approach it. You know, I had this cerebral syndrome, and I'm calling my work, you know, a friend of mine. He at the time was dispatching us and whatnot, and I don't know how many times. My wife said I called him like 9 or 10 times within the 2 hours to tell him I wasn't coming to work and I didn't feel good. So it really did mess with me. But the alcohol part of it, I was searching for, I don't know why. I mean, I always did drink, but I don't drink now. I will have maybe a beer, but I have no desire to. And I try not to because I am kind of afraid to go back down that road. But like I was just saying with the psychiatrist and stuff, it was a formal diagnosis that I was not in active alcohol addiction for those years. I don't know what else you'd call it. Me personally, I mean, it's when you think about something every day, and it did start out again, but when you get to the point where you're thinking about it every day, you can't wait to get home from work to have a beer. In my case, it was whiskey, mixed drink. Where you can't wait to get home just to sit down on a chair and do nothing with a glass of whiskey in your hand. And your sole purpose is to get drunk, basically, to sleep. You are an alcoholic. You are in active alcohol addiction. And I don't know the exact numbers on what the CDC or whatever defines alcoholism, drinks per week, things like that. But I believe, me personally, I was consumed by it, just not for the reasons of physical dependency. Actually, not even mental dependency. It just became, for lack of a better term, addictive, but it wasn't addictive. So we'll get to that, but that's what I want to do with this channel. I don't have much. I'm just starting, but I would like to help people that need it, especially with that point of life. That I have never been addicted to opiates, so I don't know how the body feels from a personal standpoint. I have been around it through the fire, EMS, friends of mine. I know what it does. I have been medically taught what opiates do to you and how you withdraw from them, why you withdraw, what attaches to what in your brain. But as far as a personal, I've been through this. I have not. So I will try my best to help you, give you some advice as far as wanting something and trying to overcome it. Alcohol is the same way. You go through alcohol withdrawal, which I have done. So it's kind of the same, but different. And you're going to hear a lot of that. But opiate withdrawal is very painful. It's unpleasant, to say the least. Alcohol withdrawal is also very unpleasant. And alcohol and with opiates, as soon as you stop drinking, I believe it's 8 hours roughly after your last drink. No, wait, I'll have to look more information up. Your body starts going through withdrawal. Whether you have an active addiction to it or not, just your social run-of-the-mill, just everyday ordinary people that have a drink at New Year's or whatever, and you get really drunk, your body starts to withdraw from that alcohol 8 hours or so after you stop drinking, which is why you feel a hangover, disoriented, you feel tired, because alcohol is a depressant, but it's also a stimulant. Alcohol is a depressant. It depresses your central nervous system. That's why you can't talk. You can't stand straight. That's why people die from it, because your central nervous system controls your everything. Your breathing is the big thing. Respirations are substantially impacted by alcohol. If you drink enough of it, aside from having deathly alcohol poisoning where somebody's taking you to the hospital, you could theoretically, there's a theory about it, you could die. It is what it is. You may not think that you're going to have alcohol poisoning or whatever. It pertains more to people that never don't drink, just started drinking, they carry a lot of tolerance, or on the complete end of the spectrum, other end of the spectrum, people that are alcoholics and drink constantly and have developed such a high alcohol tolerance that that they have to consume so much of it to feel any, they call it a buzz, but when you drink enough, it's more of a relief. You just feel normal. It starts out as a buzz. It starts out fun. It always does. Everything does. You know, and I don't know one person, and also I don't want to say everything starts out as fun. I don't know one person that's ever been addicted to, come off of, or any of that, you know, any opiate that has said, you know what, I'm going to wake up, try heroin this morning. No, that's not how that works. So that stigma, stereotype of these people that are having issues with this, there's a lot of people, and my family has, you know, some included. Everybody says, I don't want to say a disease because that's an insult to people. It's a disease. That's your opinion. You do what you want. You do what you do. However, when it comes down to it, you are trying to save a human being. So, for you to say, oh, good, they died, or I wouldn't help that guy, that's just my opinion, but that's wrong. You know, especially if somebody does come for help. They try to, they reach out to you personally, let's say. Usually doesn't happen that way, but they reach out to you and you say, you know what, now you did this to yourself. Okay, tough love is definitely there. You should do that sometimes. But if they genuinely are asking for help, you might want to help that person. There's a good, so right now you're talking to them. Say it's 10:30 in the morning right now. By 3, they could be dead. So, yeah, I mean, listening goes a long way. A very long way. Trust me, I went through it too, with still wrong. And I'll get to my stuff later on as far as what happened with that. Just happy to say that I am sober. I do not drink. I can't say I don't drink. I do not. I may, if somebody offers me a beer or whatever and I'm feeling okay, it's hot, I'm thirsty, or just in the mood, I will have maybe one, but that's very rare. So, if you need any help, you know, you can reach out throughout these videos, and these people that do need help, please listen to them. I'm not here to preach you should be the best person in the world or whatever, blah blah blah. I'm not here to preach any of that. All I'm saying is, if somebody needs help, be a decent human being. Help them out. Because when you go to an overdose, for example, I'm going to try to explain all this from the other side. Like I said, that I never went through this addiction. I never went through opiate withdrawal, any of that. So I'm going to try and give it to those of you that have the skeptical side of it. You know, oh, they did it to themselves. That type of mentality. The opposite view from our side, from the EMS fire side, from the family that you see in that moment, their side. And a lot of people don't see that. And when you go to an overdose, especially a younger person, you know, 15, it's sad to say, but 15 years old to 50 years old, or how it doesn't change the fact that they still have family, and you're still trying to save that person. Plain and simple. You know, you go to an overdose call and you say, oh, no, just good for him, he did it to himself. You have an obligation to help that person, and it's not that hard. I mean, the initial, I guess you'd want to call it, assessment of an overdose. You know, most families, people generally have an idea of what their family, you know, their brothers, sisters, whatever, are doing in life. Most people know that someone has a problem. So, when you roll into somebody's house, they walk into their own house, or they're already home and they go to check on their child, their dad, their mother, their whoever. It can happen anyway. And they're laying there unresponsive. 9 out of 10 times they're going to know why they're unresponsive. blood flowing. I do know, I do keep up on CPR. They don't do breaths anymore. It's something to 100 beats a minute, I believe. Don't quote me. But they're going to want you to do CPR. If you know somebody, I cannot stress this enough. If you know somebody that you are around regularly, family, friend, whatever, that you know has a problem, Narcan is readily available. It is cheap. It's readily available. I don't know for sure if insurance pays for it or not. I've heard rumors that some insurance will pay for it. I don't know. I fortunately have gone out of that lifestyle. Not that I was around drug addicts, because that's what people call them. Not me, I'm not saying that. But not that I was around like the junkie. But I was around that. And I was around the fire side. And I chose, after doing a lot of fire EMS, to not immediately associate with people that had a problem at first. And it wasn't because I'm a dickhead or I'm mean or, I wasn't one of those people that did for a lot of dying. No. It hurt me to see somebody go through that. More specifically, the family. Because they're trying everything they can to help this person. And they can't. You cannot help someone who's an addiction, active addiction, until they want help. Because when you force them to do something, in your mind, yes, you're doing a good job. However, it makes them want to go further, you push them further away. It's happened in my family, and thank God that some of the people in my family that had that mentality have changed their mind, and it has not been for good reason. But hindsight, everything worked out. My family's good. We're out of that path. But not me, but I'm not saying no names or nothing. But person I love very dearly, well, both of them. We're good. We're on the straight and narrow. That was always my biggest fear, was finding somebody like that. And like I said, I didn't have Narcan or anything like that. And there is a generic name for Narcan. So if you can't find Narcan, you can find, I can't remember the generic name for it now, which I should know. But I haven't been around it so long, I don't remember. I know when I first come out, that I remember, now this may have just only, EMS side, but that I remember was, it was intravenous. It wasn't nasally. You didn't inhale it. But aside from preaching on that forever, just help somebody if they need help. I'm going to do these videos. If you watch them, watch them. If you don't, don't. I drive truck all day. So I have nothing but time. God wouldn't let me to these videos. Just like I said earlier, see a psychologist. It helped, but for me to just talk about it, I think is better. If somebody else would feel they want to talk with me, like I said, however you want to do it, get hold of me, and I will definitely help, listen, reach out, whatever. Because I was almost not here because of the Lexapro situation, which can kill you. Serotonin syndrome can kill you, or something called serotonin toxicity, whatever. I had went to the hospital for this, and I could have died. I don't want to say nothing that's going to get YouTube or myself in trouble, but I don't remember every bit of probably. I don't know exactly. I'd almost have to ask my wife, and I try not to bring it up because it was a bad scenario. But I was. Some of you people can get what I'm getting at. Did some things I don't remember, things I shouldn't have done, and in fact, my lucky stars, my wonderful neighbor is my wonderful neighbor, and I'm still here. I'll leave it at that. And it was not intentional. Like I never have those conscious thoughts in my life. No, I mean everybody thinks their life sucks and this and that at some point in time, but I've never had a conscious thought of being unalive. Ever. So that's how bad that stuff can screw you up if you have the wrong chemical balance in your brain. But we're going to take, like I said, take this, with your, it can be any addiction. It doesn't necessarily have to be opiates or alcohol. But opiates and alcohol are the two biggest, especially in my area, but what I hear in the country. Alcohol is similar, like I said, to opiates and the withdrawal stuff. And alcohol and benzodiazepines, which is a whole other animal. Thank God that scene's gone out years ago. They haven't put a plug with that. They're the only two substances that you can die from withdrawal. You're not going to die from opiate withdrawal. It sucks. You feel like you're going to die, but you're not going to die. Now, alcohol, you will die. If you are an active alcoholic, you will. You drink enough, and you are diagnosed. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just simply saying what I've been taught and what I've observed. You drink enough, and you stop drinking cold turkey, you will die. Plain and simple. You will go through seizures. You will have DTs, delirium tremens. Your liver will shut down. Your kidneys will shut down. Your liver will be cirrhosis. If that's even a word, you get cirrhosis. I mean, it's real stuff. I mean, I drank like I did, and I didn't think that I drank a lot, but there were more people out there that drank more than I did. But my liver enzymes were elevated when I stopped drinking. So, long story short, you need me, I'm here. I did the small first crash in the beginning of this video. Nothing actually occurred from that, other than piquing my interest, my curiosity. So I proceeded throughout this fire service, and I will try and keep a chronological order of what happened at what time, what years, so on, so. Because there's a lot of it. I can talk for days on this, and whatever you want to. I can't say whatever you want to hear. I see this on TikTok a lot too. Is asking, fire EMS, military, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? And I saw a guy last night. Wish I could remember his name. I see him all the time. And he brought up a good point. Why would you want to know the worst thing that someone has ever seen? And he said, it's not necessarily the worst thing you ever seen, but perhaps maybe the grossest. Or, somebody throw up in your mouth or shit on you, or I shouldn't say that on YouTube, I guess poop on you. Whatever. But I'm going to tell you about the moment, and it has stuck with me all these years. I will tell you about that, but I'm not going to go into giant detail about it. One, that I don't, there's hit the laws that are still active, which I won't name any names, locations, or, anybody involved, but there's a lot that goes on and you can get in trouble for. Unfortunately, they're all deceased, except for the one brother that I knew. He's still around, thank God. And the one other gentleman, he is still around as well. Thank God, once again. I can't remember if he was, I don't think he was running in the fire service, but I know he did help out us, a time or two and whatnot. But he was a good guy, good dude, very nice guy. All these guys, kids, they were kids at the time. I mean, 22, 23 years old. I mean, you're young. They were all very nice people. I mean, it's not like it's a bunch of guys that were out there just causing havoc. It's just wrong place, wrong time, I guess. Causing call, things like that. But I'll get to that crash. It's up there. The worst things I've ever seen. Don't be offended if I me wrong, there's a lot of first responders that do go through very, very bad situations when it comes to, you know, city, or, how do I want to say it? The more lively cities in this country, as far as active crime, I have never been under gunfire, you know, running fire, EMS. There are a lot that have. So I can't say that I'm the same with our military veterans because I'm not. I've never experienced. I have been shot at unintentionally. I have heard bullets unintentionally. I hope. But it's a very scary feeling. So for that, you to be in that active combat situation for months, years, whatever, I don't know what it's like. But if you have a story, anything that you would like to talk to me personally about to help you work through something, I'm all ears. I will never roast and talk about it, whatever, because that's not my place. I will listen. I generally don't respond unless I'm asked to, as far as you're talking about something and you say, okay, this is what do you think? What was your, you know, did you go through this when you had your, you know, what do you do at night? You know, a dream or a nightmare. I don't interject like when veterans are telling stories. I don't talk at all because, one, it's disrespectful. Two, they gotta talk just like everybody else. And for somebody to talk and try and pretend that they know what's going on when you've never been there, you know, it's kind of led me to where I'm at here with these videos, because I talk to these people that went to school to figure out how the human brain thinks, but you don't know if you've never done it. Plain and simple. I'm like 45 minutes in this video already, so I'm going to probably wrap it up. But this is number one. Like I said, just day one. If you made it this far, bear with me. Please watch, because there will be a lot of very valuable, helpful information that I will provide to you, resources for helping people with addiction. There's a lot more people, a lot more out there than people realize. And I don't want to go through this whole video process just for myself. It is for me to get out what I'm trying to talk about, but if I can help somebody, I got one person, I'm doing better than I did yesterday. You know, I've been stepped on all my life. I've been knocked down. I've been picked on. And whatever. I'm 33 years old. That's here or there with me. But when you're younger, it does hurt. You know, and I don't know. I kept a lot of stuff in it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm tired of feeling like, I don't want to say mad, because I wasn't feeling, I'm just tired of suppressing everything. To the point where it's, you know, just like I said recently, dreams start to come back and all that nonsense. I don't want to do that anymore. So maybe this will. But you, next time, I'll probably do another one tomorrow. Maybe the next day. If anybody watches this, throw some comments out there. See what you want to hear. What, just like I said, I'm not going to talk about the worst possible thing I can, but that might help me get some ideas. And I have a laundry list of calls and things that I've gone through, and I'm going to start out with not me personally directly, but calls that I have been on that deals with the addiction side, overdoses, things like that, and how it affects, like I said, the other side, their family, people responding. Just because we don't know him from Adam, her from Adam, whoever, it can be told straighter. Doesn't mean it doesn't wear on you. Anytime you see death, your human brain has to process it. You can't just see somebody die and be like, oh, it's okay. Some people can. There are some people that can. Depending on what predicament, situation you're in. is a big part of today's society and a big part of first responders' daily life. You know, fentanyl, you can't. I'll leave you on this now. Fentanyl, it's a crazy drug. It's actually fentanyl. For all the pharmacists out there, they're going to, on me, or it's fentanyl. But everybody calls it fentanyl. It's a crazy drug. You can't absorb it.